The station of the stars. RTI.
And welcome to Postcard from Poprad. We nearly missed it by a second. Good grief. People aren't being late today. They're being on time. I can't do that now because there's people watching. Oh, hello. How are you? Yes, I'm here. Hello. This is Postcard from Poprad from Radio Tatras International, the station of the stars. But there's only 2 stars this week. There's not many of us. Joe says hello all already. We'll get on to some of your hellos in a minute because I want to pose some questions to you today. I really want you to get into this because I need your help. And I think it's because as you know, I live in Slovakia and I see one side and people like Leigh see another side, and that's really cool. But I want to bring that into the debate this week, really do. And I'd love to have your views as well. A 3rd star has just arrived called Steve Mann. Ha ha. The 2nd star is none other than Leigh Banks.
How do you do?
I do very well. How do you do?
I do incredibly well for my disabilities and mental state of disarray.
So no new news there then?
No, absolutely not. No news, new news on this show either, is there?
No. Why would we do that?
I know what you want to argue about.
All right. David Bloomfield says, hello from Ipswich, the town of the stars.
I like being on the station of the stars.
Oh, it's so funny this week. I've been having a laugh to beyond belief. Let's run down some quick hellos. Joe Meadows. Hello, Joe. Hope everything's going well in Bedford. Bruce Woolley's there, as is David Bloomfield.
Bruce Willis.
What?
Bruce Willis?
Not Bruce Willis, you nana. Bruce. Dwayne Golson's there. Jim Simpson is there. We've mentioned Steve already many times. David Solly's there. Your missus is there, so watch out.
Oh, no. What's she doing?
Watching you and making sure you don't say naughty words.
Is that Mr. Man watching me as well?
Yes.
I've read his 3rd book now.
Have you really? Is he good?
Yeah. It's very good. Very, very big letters in it.
Oh, right. John Leach is there, as is John Murray. And over on the other chat room, we have Abdullah. Hello, Abdullah. We have Maria. We have... Ooh, I'm not quite sure how to say that. Belko. Yeah, that works. Yeah. Belko. I know. Afternoon, John says. Afternoon, Eric says. John. Afternoon. Waiting to see Eric get murdered by his PA. Aha. Aye, Eric says. Chris. Hello, Chris. Aye. Sounds like he's been a bit of a down there in Carmel, and then there's all them pirates going around. Those pirate ships are everywhere. They are. To be sure. Mike Darby's in the house, and we're going to do some of your bits of news in a minute. But I do really want to hear this week from you guys, and let me tell you why. Is Leah's Mississippi telling him to put his clothes on? Oh, is Lee's missus? I get it. Yeah, probably, Steve.
Is that Mr. Man?
Mm-hmm. Just getting ready to go for back shift. Ouch. Ow. Who's doing that? All those crack. Yeah, I know those ones. Yoki is there as well. He's from Hungary. Hello. How are you, young man? And so what we want to know, we're going to have a Barney in a minute, me and Leigh. I know we are, because it's like... I'm
a nice person.
I know you will. But we're going to have an argument about plastic bags and the NHS in the UK.
Yeah.
And Dee says, hello. And Yoki says, hi. Hi, back at you. I'll even wave to everybody now. There you go. We'll wave on the other one as well. Oh, no,
nice.
I haven't turned the webcam on the other one yet.
I've not turned mine on because my hair. I've not done my hair.
Have you not?
No.
Did the makeup artist not arrive?
No, the makeup artist. I've been out. I've done my pitch shoot.
Right.
My photo shoot.
Yes.
But being outside in the rain.
Yes.
My hair's gone all fuzzy, dear.
I don't think the large 7-ton truck with concrete on arrived as your makeup people.
Why is he so rude to me, ladies and
I
gentlemen?
don't know.
I've got to mention something. It just flashed across my screen. I'm so sorry. It's a message off the ConsumerWatchFoundation.com. He's doing some incredible stuff this week, all about naughty people who own aeroplanes and what they're doing to people. We've got some good stories.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
Where are we? Say hello to Alistair and Nick Haddock, and
Hello,
to Robert, who's just joined us as well, and Alexander's just joined the big family that we have on here. Which, it's funny. I know we all take the mickey out of each other, but that's the beauty of this family that we've got here on a Friday. We take the mickey, but we all love each other anyway. Isn't that good?
We love each other. We are just one big dysfunctional family.
Dysfunctional is probably the right word. Anyway, we're going to have a barney about plastic bags. We're going to have a barney about the NHS.
No, I'm not talking to you.
Because I think the plastic bag issue and the NHS, the solution is with people, not politicians. The solution is with people, not politicians. What do you say? We'll come to that in a moment. But we have to say, the former Motorhead guitarist Eddie Clarke, known as Fast Eddie, has died at the age of 67. That's rather tragic.
It is sad, isn't it? It's the end of a rock and roll dynasty, isn't it? He was the last member of Motorhead.
Yeah.
And you corrected me like I didn't know it was called Motorhead then, and I was saying Motorhead when you corrected me.
Sorry. I'm sorry.
Right.
I'm sorry.
Just getting ready for this row.
Okay, right.
Yeah, it is a tragedy. Lemmy, he came from just down the road from the village of the Damned. And, I'm in so much trouble about calling the village of the Damned the village of the Damned. All the people who live in the village of the Damned have been having a go at me. Anyway, he's dead.
Joe says, don't say anything about the NHS. I'm surrounded by them in Bedford Hospital. No, keep it quiet, Joe. Keep it quiet. No, I love... No, the NHS people are absolutely stalwarts. They work their socks off. I'm going to blame some particular groups of people in a little while for wasting NHS money. Absolutely. And I think they should be fined for what they're doing. I really do. Ray Thomas, the singer and flautist with the Moody Blues, has died. Nights in White. Do you know, if I'd got £1 for every time I've played Nights in White Satin at the end of a wedding or a disco, I'd be living in the Bahamas now.
I can imagine that's Moody Blues, very good band for the time.
Yeah, but what else are they remembered for, really? Because, I mean, yes, Genesis, Emerson, Lake and Palmer, quite stronger, really, in a lot of ways.
Yeah, Yes was a. Well, that's the. I suppose that's why everybody says I'm reticent about certain things, particularly things that have become like special to the world. And the Moody
like
Blues,
Genesis.
Genesis should be shot up against a wall and shot. Drumming monkey.
Theme 1 from Yes is just amazing.
Say that again, I'm sorry.
Theme 1.
What is it? What's theme 1?
Oh. You can't make it up, can you, boys and girls?
You can't make up a band as bad as Genesis. I once thought I'd met Michael Jackson's monkey, and it turned out to be that bloke in a monkey suit.
Okay. Anyway, Michael Prophet, I tell you would love him. Good old...
He was good. He was good.
He was good. I'm sure my mate Steve Marshall will love him to bits because he's a real reggae fan. What?
What
Hello?
now?
Genesis were good until they let Phil Collins sing.
Well said. Who said that? Who said that? That man's a genius.
Well, you've just called Steve Mann a genius. I
love you, Mr. Mann.
Yeah, there you go.
I'll ghostwrite your next books.
Yeah, indeed. And but anyway, wonderful man was Michael Prophet. Karen Dorr, the actress, she sadly died as well.
She has. Has anybody ever heard of her?
She's a Bond girl.
That's the thing. That was my dropped intro I was going to mention, because everybody knows her, what it is. They don't know her name. They know her as the Bond girl, and yet nobody knows who she is. And yet she did very well for herself.
I suppose you're right in a lot of ways, because this is absolutely true. I went to school with a girl who became a Bond girl.
Now, she was just into bondage.
And her name was Alison. And Alison became a Bond girl. And I was passionately in love with Alison as a child, but obviously one didn't, because one couldn't, and all sorts of stuff. Anyway, so yeah, I genuinely...
The one who got painted gold?
No. No, she wore one of those very flimsy, see-through looking white short dresses things.
That's what I've got on at the moment.
Yeah, and don't say that.
Oh, sorry.
Please, for goodness sake. There's children might be listening.
They're not looking.
Well, they can't see you, thank God. Well, nobody wants them.
Exactly, see?
Yeah, that's why they've just... Did you not see it? They brought out the new TV for you.
What's that?
Well, in Germany, there's a big show in Germany at the moment with all sorts of lovely tech. And they bought out this wall-sized, and I mean giant-sized, wall, thin, like a matchstick nearly, thin television. It's so big. Yeah. Perfect for your size.
Oh, to get me on the telly, you mean?
Yeah.
Have you not? Everybody on telly has to be less than 4 feet tall, don't they?
Well, that's right. That's right.
Yeah. Now, when you look at that, who's that bloke, that famous bloke who jumps up and down on the couch on Oprah Winfrey? Look at him. He's 3'2".
I know. Dave just said, an image has just appeared in my mind that I can't get rid of, and that's reference Leigh in a sort of negligee, and he's got some green faces pretending to be violently ill on the screen.
Excuse me, David, I'm not in a negligee. I'm in a white summer dress because I'm in my house and it's hot. And it was all right for David Bowie, wasn't it? It was all right
true.
for us.
Anyway, Home and Away actress, probably a friend of Rachel's, who is on holiday this week in Italy at the moment. So she can't be with us this week because the interweb's not very good where she's, otherwise she would be. Jessica Fogholt has died after being pulled from the wreckage of a car crash in New South Wales on Boxing Day. She's only recently died because she was in a coma and she had several surgical procedures, but unfortunately the poor lass didn't make it. So we wish her unbelievably well. We really do.
I agree with you. That's really sad.
Right. I'm now going to start my whinge. Are you ready?
Yeah. What's your whinge? Is that like a motorbike? I'm going to start my whinge.
No.
What, you gone all silent for?
No, because I have a vision now of Mr. Biker, Joe Meadows, and he is Mr. Biker, going, that Leigh Banks is such a numpty.
Thank you very much.
I'm sure Joe will agree with me. Anyway, Sir Paul McCartney and a host of rock and pop legends are back in a move in Parliament to protect music venues from closure because they reckon that these places that are absolutely going bust because nobody goes there should have taxpayers' money to keep them going.
Absolutely. I think it's very sad that Paul McCartney's involved because he should be shot up against a wall with that other bloke, the drubbing monkey. But yeah, I agree. If in fact, and I'm not blowing my own trumpet here because it's impossible, but if you go to the Consumer Watch Foundation now, there is a story on the front page about music venues, and one of our writers, Martin Duke Ward, is defending them and saying use your local music venues. They are something that needs defending. And quite right, Sir Paul McCartney, the big singing tortoise, has picked up on our story.
No. I kind of agree with Martin. It's up to you, the public, to either support something that's commercially based or don't support it. If it's not supported, it means it stops. And you don't go running to the nanny state saying, I want some money, please, because I want to keep this old building alive that's dead and nobody wants to go there, but I just want to keep it alive because it worked for me 40, 50 years ago.
Yeah.
So did old-fashioned cinemas 40, 50 years ago. There wasn't the interweb then for bands and thousands of bands to get started using YouTube and plenty of other places that are available on the web as well that do video.
Exactly.
So, the clubs in so many ways have been replaced by digital technology. Not only that, but it enables bands to reach bigger numbers than ever before. But where it goes wrong for those that don't win is they go, oh, I can't be famous because there's no places to start anymore. No, if you put it on YouTube and people like you, you get famous. If you put it on YouTube and everybody goes, oh, I don't like that, then it's because you're rubbish.
I have to ask a question here.
What?
Oh, actually, I completely agree with you. Well, what about DJs, eh? What about DJs? You couldn't have started your glorious career by going on YouTube, playing a few tracks.
Not when I started, no.
Oh, yeah. But you couldn't be a DJ on... Could you be a DJ on YouTube? No?
Yes, yeah, of course you can.
Would it work?
Yes.
Interesting. What I was going to say, though, and I agree with what you're saying here, but music venues across Britain and Europe are suffering dramatically by the fact that people are complaining about the noise of them. Where we live in Spain, there were 3 music venues, and each one has been shut down because somebody's complained about the noise. And that's in Spain, the noisiest country in the world. What's up with you? So all the music venues have gone. So all the people over there are now scrabbling around to try and find new venues. Live music is the lifeblood of the world.
Mm-hmm. If it's as long as it's good, it gets up my uter a bit when you see all these bands, and we do see a lot on Facebook going, oh, that's really good. Oh, I really like that. But they're the only 2 people on the planet that do like it. And then they moan, and they actually say, well, what do you expect? Of course the general public don't like it, they don't know what's good for them. Hello? Excuse me? Get out of here. John Murray has written us a really long piece. And, John, I'm going to come to that in a second, if I may, please. It's a really well-written piece as well. Thank you. Theresa May has set out plans to get rid of affordable plastic bags within 25 years. She's confirmed that the 5p bag charge will be extended to all shops, including small ones, which will cause the small shops an absolute nightmare.
Why?
Because how do they manage it all? This is a tax. So, in other words, they're now going to have to do a different piece of paper for another tax piece of paper for a single businessman on his own, running a corner store. How many hours in the day has he got?
I think that's a very good point. I can't see where we're going to argue here, I think you're absolutely right on that. And all it is like the problem with diesel cars. It's just a way of earning more money for an ailing country.
No.
Well, of course it is. It's bringing in more tax.
I know that. But do you know whose fault it is?
It's whose fault is it in reality?
The public.
The public,
because they throw the plastic bags, the plastic cups, the paper cups, the fast food boxes, the drink bottles, so they all end up getting washed up on beaches and yada, yada, yada. Tell me what manufacturer pours all of those products into the sea? No. Tell me what shop pours it all into the sea? No.
Yeah, I agree with you. I understand where you're coming from. And
there is no social responsibility. That's the problem.
I see where you're coming from, and I sympathise with your view. But actually, manufacturers do have to take some of the blame. In fact, a great part of the blame for this, because it's just easy to package stuff in plastic. Paper bags you can't use because if you get in the rain in Britain, they fall apart. What else is there for them to use? So they should be looking at finding new ways of packaging. I bought a razor 2-3 weeks ago, and I nearly cut my wrist trying to open it with a knife, and it took me nearly 15 minutes to get the packaging off. It was like metal. The plastic was so hard. And, what do you do with it? What can you do with it? The manufacturers have a responsibility to this world to stop killing the world to make them money.
And if it is that the packaging costs a little bit more, tough luck, consumer pays.
Absolutely, absolutely. The consumer and the manufacturers should be doing something else.
It's not the manufacturers at fault. It's not the government at fault. The first port of call where you have to lay blame is people who throw the stuff out on the streets. They do not put it in the rubbish bin. And I tell you why it's so poignant to me. Because, as you know, Leigh, when you come to Slovakia, it's like a cultural shock to a Brit. Because you don't see fag packets lying around all over the floor. You don't find milk, empty cartons of this, that, and the other lying about all over the place.
But let's be fair.
Yep.
When I first went to Slovakia 15 years ago, it was worse than Britain. It was almost as bad as India. It was so dirty, and everything was discarded on the streets. It was terrible.
Correct.
Yeah, Slovakia has
sorted
up their act.
Yes, and let me warn you, boys and girls, and I just think this should be adopted in England as well. Those people that are fit and healthy and yet claim unemployment benefits, here, they go and clean up. They go and clear places up. And if they don't go and do the work, they get their dole money cut.
It's a very, very good point. Yeah, that's something that really I don't see why people shouldn't work on community projects. The argument is it stops people looking for work. They take that as the job.
Absolute rubbish, because the people here are given time off straight away to go for interviews. Absolutely.
There you have it. There's the answer.
There's the answer. Because we've got so many comments coming in already about the NHS, I'm going to jump a couple of stories. We'll try and come back to them a bit later. Oh, no, I'll tell you what, we're doing really quickly, shall we? Hysterically funny, Oprah Winfrey is hinting, or some of her comments are being taken as hints, that she could run for the next president of America. Now, people think that's funny, but let's test Uncle Leigh. Was there another famous artiste, well, actually, he was a B-grade movie bloke, that was in the White House?
Him? Yeah, I forgot his name.
So that's why I was trying to get it out of you. Oh, dear. Anyway, doesn't matter. I think that's kind of funny. The country of Ecuador has granted citizenship to WikiLeaks founder Julian Assange. And do you know what? I don't give a damn.
Why? Why don't you give a damn?
I don't care about him. He's not important to me.
Well, he is. He has been quite important, and he still has a certain. No, I agree with you. Yeah. Put him up against the wall with the singing monkey and Cliff Richard.
Something like. No, I mean, it's gone on too long now, and he's still not going, even though he's got Ecuador's given him citizenship. So I mean. What's the flipping point? He's gone. You're quite right. At one point, he was kind of like a B or a C lister in celebrity status. He's now down Z minus,
and he's just boring.
Yes, absolutely
boring.
Let's move on to the NHS. This makes me so angry. Now, I'll start off with let's let John have a say first, John Murray.
Okay.
Time to make the NHS the number one priority. Time to invest billions in the great institution. We did it for the banks, wars, and every other country. So let's take care of the health services. Pay the nurses, doctors, surgeons, and bring back the matron. And sack the thousands of useless managers. Agreed. Do you know the NHS pays outside contracts to supply nurses for overtime to fill the shortfall of staff? What's that all about? I agree. Hypothetically, the NHS pays £100 to get a nurse out in overtime to a subcontractor, i.e. the nurse's bank, if you like. In turn, they give £40 to a nurse, which gives them a £60 profit. Marvellous.
Yeah. Well, that's right.
Sorry, John. I'm spluttering now.
Oh, sorry.
I do have a bit of a cold, so I apologise. John,
continuing.
I'm going to continue a bit more. John says that's ridiculous, and you don't get me started on the great work our paramedics do. No, don't start me there, because they are just amazing. Did you know that at the weekend when the theatres are being used, They are sourced out for private companies who hire NHS doctors, nurses and surgeons to do NHS surgeries crazy, and if anything goes wrong, the patient is passed back to the ward to the NHS to take care of. Zero responsibility. Shocking. Now, I kind of get where you're coming from, John. I really do. Now, let me add a couple of things into that. I say, in most cities and major towns in the UK, and you can see it on the news. I can watch Sky News. You know, I'm not distant and far away, so I can't see anything. The fact is that you see drunk tanks, which are ambulances, taking NHS staff out to ensure that people who drink too much don't break their fingernails. And I'm sorry, if they fall over and bust their nose, it's tough luck.
What do you do with them? You just leave them? Eh?
No. They should go into the drunk tanks, I quite agree. But then they should be given a bill for doing so. They should They should be charged, They should be charged money for using NHS facilities which are not necessary. The NHS was never designed to stop drunk people getting hurt on the streets. That's not what the National Health Service is for. It's not a national abuse your health service. It's a national health service.
I think you've just destroyed the whole ethos of the National Health Service. The National Health Service is there for everybody. And the simple fact that the reason you have accident and emergency within the health service is because people do injure themselves accidentally, whether they're drunk or not. It's an interesting point you're making, because if you have a car crash or whatever, then, you know, you can ultimately get a bill off the NHS for treatment.
Yes.
However...
But they don't enforce that very much, Leigh.
No, it's there, the potential's there.
You're absolutely right. There's an option. But with people who are being irresponsible and go out... Why is it irresponsible?
Why is it irresponsible to go out
and binge drink?
Enjoy yourself?
No. You cannot enjoy yourself when you're so drunk, you fall over, you wet yourself.
You can.
No, you can't. You poo. You can't even remember it the next day. So why should you get free health service to stop?
Because it's not free, and because you've paid for it. It's as simple as everybody goes on about this free National Health Service. It doesn't exist. We do not have a free National Health Service.
No, you pay for it. It's an insurance scheme.
Therefore, you pay for it. If you fall over and break your fingernail and you want to go to hospital, you've every right to go.
Yeah, as we've discussed in other weeks, I totally agree with the idea of having a walk-in section before A&E in the UK, so that people who've just got I know I've got a kind of semi-flu virus. Why on earth would I abuse my national health system, which we have a walk-in system here, the same? Why would I abuse that by going... No, I wouldn't. And I wouldn't do it in the UK either. But people do. They go, oh, well, I don't know what to do, so I've come in to see you. Achoo! So they sneeze all over everybody, and all they've got to do is go to a pharmacist, get some, the normal... I can't say the names because I can't remember all of them. These particular brands that you can buy to repair your body when you're taking up the time of the National Health Service, which should be looking after diabetic patients, heart attack patients, cancer patients, people who've fallen over, had accidents, not their fault. Somebody who's got a broken leg or a broken arm, not their fault. They should be given the priority in the NHS.
You can't give people... Excuse me, I'm going to cough now because I've got a flu virus as well. Excuse me, push the cough button.
No, I missed it.
But anyway, what I was going to say, or what you're saying, again, is right. But we already have that. We already have the fact the government has told everybody that they should go to the chemist for minor ailments.
But they don't do it.
That's nothing to do with the NHS. If it's not nothing to do
No, I agree. Hang on, whoa. Just to be clear, I do agree it's not the fault of the NHS. It is the fault of the general public.
Yes, but we have the facility. We have whatever it's called, that direct line where you can phone up and talk to somebody on the phone about how ill you are. There are all these things that have been set up. We're talking about having doctors at the gates of accident and emergency and things like that. It's all being done. But the simple fact is the NHS doesn't work because people are spending the money that should be in it in all sorts of ludicrous and outrageous ways. Why are we charging doctors and nurses to park at the hospital where they work? Why are we charging people who are dying to park?
Well, actually, Pat's just raised a really valid point. The other problem with the argument is today we can cure more things than we could years ago. And obviously that costs more money. And you're absolutely right, Pat. As science improves, the public have got to put more in. And Steve actually has come up with a really good idea. He said what they need to do is have a fall-in centre for the drunks. Do you know what? I kind of agree with you. If these people were just dumped into these centres, like a sleep-it-off place, where you got one person could monitor.
This is very cruel to drunks.
Why?
Well, I'm a bit of a drunk. I've always been a bit of a drunk. I like to drink, and I actually don't fall over very often.
But, to be fair, boys and girls, I have seen this man virtually paralytic, and he still manages to walk, and he would not expect an ambulance to come and take him back to his domain. He wouldn't.
I would if I'd fallen over and broke my fingernail. But what I'm saying is, drunkenness is a major problem in the UK now.
Correct.
I think we outdrink Russians, we outdrink everybody. We are a big, drunken, fat, ugly nation. And that's because booze is so easy to get and so cheap, in fact. Now, really, instead of attacking people who've become addicted to alcohol, instead of attacking them, because the government could do something about it, it would cost them lots of money to do it, and that's the reason we have so many drunks in this country. Therefore, the drunks do not need attacking because they potentially have an illness which should be treated by the government that force them into it anyway by selling us cheap booze.
That's their problem. That is their problem. If it is, people have a choice, and we're going to come on. We are going to come on to another one later on with a survey that's come out about smoking. And I'm sorry, if you smoke and don't give up, it's your fault. Nobody can blame anybody else but me. And John adds, did you know that nurses and doctors get charged an annual fee so that they can go to work? Yes, they must pay to go to work. No, actually, I do know about that, John. It's very true. And the lovely Laura Frey is in the building. Hello, Laura. Nice to see you. Dobry den Hanka in Bratislava. Hi to you as well. We'll blow kisses to the girls. I haven't seen Laura for years since she was here, but that's another story. We're going to take a quick commercial break, boys and girls. We'll be back with more of this in a couple of moments' time. Do not go away. Keep it here because, the Station of the Stars is the only place to be.
The Station of the Stars. RTI.
RTI.
Everybody okay? Remember your training, all right?
RNLI lifeboat crews are unpaid volunteers. They rescue 22 people every day. On a lifeboat, training is a matter of life and death, and it costs £1,000 a year for each crew member. As a charity, we receive no UK government funding, so our crew's safety depends entirely on your donations. Please call 0800 543 210 and donate £20 or whatever you can afford. Because next time, this could be for real.
RTI.
Welcome back to part 2 of Postcard from Poprad. Sorry, I was trying to read things at the same time as doing everything else. And do you know what, Leigh? We're really honoured. Hello?
Hello.
You've just gone to the toilet, haven't you?
No, I've just been for a glass of water.
You got caught out.
The toilet now.
He was late back, boys and girls, from the commercial break, and there was I was going to share this with him, but I'm not going.
You came back on too quickly.
No, I didn't. I said 1 minute as you left. Just that people couldn't hear me. Hi to Hamza as well. Hello to you, sir. I'm not going to share this with him now, boys and girls. I'm going to just keep it for myself. On one of the networks we're on, and talk radio stations, and there is an awful lot of them. And I do say an awful lot of them. We've just been...
Are you using awful as a description?
As in volume, yes. An awful lot of them. A very, very big volume of them.
Awfully good.
It's awfully good. It's just flashed up on my screen that Postcard from Poprad is the #1 talk show in the world.
Has it indeed? Who's put that on?
Oh, it comes up automatically on the screen. I don't do it. They do it. It's one of those when you go up the tree, it tells you when you're getting more and more listeners, and up it goes, and it kind of like you get to the thousands, then the hundreds, and I've just been watching it, going, "Ooh, heck, do you think we really could do this?" And I can't do anything about it. It's just whatever volume of people there are enjoying the programme. So I thank you. Very humbling. Thank you very much indeed. Steve says, "I smoke and accept your argument. Even with all the taxes that come from that, I'd accept if I was refused treatment for a smoking-related illness." I have a difficulty with that, but there again,
I think that is an outrageous argument. What if you've got pneumoconiosis? What if you've got something that's created because of the job that you had? You chose to do that job, and now you've got this illness, so you shouldn't be treated.
No, it's like the poor guys years ago, Steve. I mean, in my youth, there was a huge issue about asbestos, the coal miners, who were suffering terribly, and back then, it was just standard for everybody to smoke, and it is a circumstance where the population, the psyche of that population has changed over the years. But back then, these poor guys were breathing, worse than my asthma ever is. They still smoke because they didn't know any different. So I don't think you can do it that way round. But Joe says to Steve, you need to come and see the smokers in this chemo ward. That would stop you. I bet it would, Joe. I actually do believe it would do.
It would. But why doesn't... You see, we talk about freedom of speech, and also in that is the freedom to smoke. But if everybody's so against, why do we force people onto the streets like tramps to smoke? We treat smokers as second-class citizens, and yet it's the government who continues to allow people to be addicted to it. The government has a responsibility in this, just as much as it has a responsibility within the plastic bottle world.
Yeah, but I get your point, but I still go back to where I was. Social responsibility starts with the citizens. End of story. It doesn't start with politicians.
So social responsibility actually begins with the lawmakers, doesn't it? The lawmakers create the sense of social responsibility that we now have. We didn't invent it. We would have carried on living in caves if it wasn't for people who started to build a society. And it's the people who built society responsibility.
Yeah, and they can do it again.
Well, they can, but isn't it time people started doing something about smoking?
I agree with every part of it, Leigh, but I don't think you can just go, I vote for the monster raving looting party, and I think they should do this, and I think that party should do that, and that party should do that. It has nothing to do with politics. It should not have anything to do with politics.
It is to do with politics, though, because politics, we are a big business. Every country is a big business, and these big business people who run our country, called politicians, have a responsibility to society and to the people who live here. And all I'm saying, you see, it's all good and great. Since the internet, we have this Facebook philosophy where you say, it's all your fault. You did that. You smoked
Absolutely.
that.
Absolutely right. Absolutely.
That isn't social responsibility. That is hectoring.
That's copping out.
Yes.
In my world, I use little words, he uses big ones. Steve Marshall in Ireland says, I vape. I have no problem with people smoking. It's their money to burn. Oh, ouch.
Absolutely.
That was rather cutting, Steve, but absolutely accurate. And David wants to compliment you, by the way, Leigh. He said, love the RTI sound effect of doors. Sounds so real. I totally agree with you. And I don't know how this obviously fits into the conversation we're having, but why it's called Aussie flu, I don't know. Very tragic news as the flu, which they call Aussie flu, is killing more and more people, and Public Health England showing all the statistics on it, and again putting more pressure on the National Health Service, which is absolutely tragic. It really is.
I do not understand why are you asking why they're calling it Aussie flu?
Well, I know where it comes from. I know where it comes from as a generic term of the
Oz.
Oz flu thingy. But why don't you just call it flu?
Because you have to. Because it's a different strain. There are various strains of flu, and this is a way of identifying.
I only do that in the toilet.
Say that again, dear. Sorry.
I only do that in the toilet.
That's terrible. Excuse me, Mr. Wiltsher, just explain what you mean by that.
Well, you said I was straining.
Oh, you need a restraining order sometimes.
Anyway, I'm going to leave Leigh to do the next one because hard luck, mate. That's the way life is. A mum's been told to fork out £140 to guarantee a seat next to her son, Mr. Banks.
Well, I don't know what to say, really. There is this son. He's not 13. He's not 33. He's not 93. He's 3 years old. And Thomas Cook decided it was reasonable to charge a mother an extra £140 to guarantee that she could actually sit next to her son on a flight. This is absolutely outrageous. The son says it's holding that Thomas Cook held her to ransom. Well, they did. How could you? What are they going to do? They're going to stick a child, a 3-year-old child, get next to somebody who didn't want to be sitting next to a child, while the mother that did can't afford the 140 quid, so has to go and sit on another part of a plane. What is wrong with our flight industry and our holiday industry? This is outrageous. Go to the Consumer Watch Foundation and read the story about 230 quid for extra legroom on a plane on a flight to New York. Go to the Consumer Watch Foundation next week and find out how, because somebody had got the name in the wrong order, it didn't say, for instance, Leigh Banks, it said Banks Leigh, and they were charged £1,500 to correct that mistake. They're just, Ryanair, they're riding roughshod over us, and they treat us like cattle at airports as well.
Mr. Banks.
You asked me to say what I thought.
Mr. Banks.
What?
Are you marginally over 21?
Only slightly.
Yes, just like me. Which means that you remember the start of the budget airline thing and the package tour budget thing.
Yeah.
Prior to that, we had British Airways, which is no longer British. We had Monarch Airways, which has gone bust, etc., etc. And when you got on the plane, even if, as a friend of mine used to call it, even if you're in GIT class, you got fed and watered, the whole thing, and you paid rather a large sum of money for the ticket. And you
could put your bags on the plane. You could take your clothes with you and stuff like that. It was really interesting. Yes. What a funny thing it is now.
Well, that's true. But now we've all decided, right, we don't want to pay that money anymore, and the other route was the budget airline route, which people feel the need for, which is absolutely right. But you can't have a budget airline system working on the system of like the old British Airways, where you could put two people together if you booked early enough.
So you're saying it is reasonable for a 3-year-old child to be dumped?
No, I'm not saying dumped, but I'm sure I'm sure if they'd have done it earlier enough, it would have been done. I'm sure.
There is something, going back to it, called social responsibility.
Yes.
And businesses have to have social responsibility.
Correct.
And it is reasonable for a mother to want to be seated next to her 3-year-old child on a plane.
Let's develop the argument. She's a smart mum, very smart mum. She goes to one of the discount holiday online services, and she finds 2 places on a plane for her and her son. She books that, and then she finds that the seats are A1 and G2.
Yeah.
Because they're the only 2 seats.
Yeah.
Tough.
Well, so what do you do? What you
would have to do is talk to the person in one of the different seats, arrange for something to happen, or pay the airline a fee to move people about.
I can't agree with you less. I think it's shabby. You should be able to. I don't know if this woman booked her tickets on a late thing, but she paid £1,600 to fly from Manchester to Los Angeles. That's a lot of money, and that's not a bucket seat. That's a proper price to be paying. And then, you see, you've got to look. Budget airlines are fine, but you can't defend budget airlines. If you want to take your bag, if you want to take some of your clothes with you on holiday, now you have to pay extra money. If you want to eat on a long-haul flight, now you have to pay extra money. If you want to do anything, if you want extra leg, you have to pay extra money. Now, if you add all those up to the price they come to, that's not budget airlines.
It's not.
It's a social responsibility to stop treating human beings like fodder. Okay?
They are. And as Pat's pointed out, there is speculation that British Airlines, not British Airways, will stop seats reclining and also reducing the seat distance, the distance between the seats. And I'll be honest with you, Pat, that's one of the reasons why I know that probably this year I have to go to America. All right, it'll be fun when I get there. It'll be fun when I get back. But the bit I don't want to do...
The flying bit.
The flying bit. Not because I'm scared of flying. I like aeroplanes.
It's just uncomfortable.
It is ruddy uncomfortable. It's really, really uncomfortable. And Joe reckons I'm older than God's dog.
I've met God's dog.
Well, there you go then. That answers it all. This is another one that's got me annoyed this week.
Oh dear!
Police have apparently, police have been slammed over what some journalist is calling a manhunt for a careless driver who splashed...
What do you mean some journalists have called it a manhunt? They're after a man. They're hunting a man who splashed on a knee.
Oh, David Gill wants to say hello to his friends. Hello, David. Anyway, that's what they call it. A manhunt for a careless driver who splashed a mum and her kids when they drove through a puddle. Do you know what, Cambridgeshire Police? I think you're heroes.
Why?
I think you're absolutely heroes because you get these numpties who think it's funny these days to drive through a puddle and splash people with them. That is
I
just...
thought it was funny. It's not a new thing.
Yeah, I wouldn't be at all surprised if planes were standing room only soon. Now, I commend Cambridgeshire Police for actually doing something real, something nice. You know what I'm saying?
I do. But the argument is, and this is the reason for this argument and this story, is that the police have come, not Cambridgeshire police generally, have come up with all these bizarre schemes of why and how they can avoid actually investigating anything at all.
No, but Leigh, honestly, I think you're kind of missing it as well, in that if the police catch people for smaller crimes and make them aware and make them socially aware, the chances of them doing a bigger crime are less likely. If they just let it go, they go, oh, just covered a mum and kid toddler in water, who cares? Doesn't matter.
What they do. That's what they do. No, I'm not missing the point at all. I'm bringing a different point to it. The point I'm making is the fact that actually the police generally have come up with all these ideas, like we won't investigate crimes at houses that have got an odd number, and all this sort of thing that it just is. And they've got all these pretend policemen on the streets walking around doing jobs that they're maybe not up to. They don't have the full law qualifications that the police and everything, but what the police also now don't do, I have a case in question which I can't discuss at the moment. They won't investigate, and they try not to investigate anything because they say, oh, we've got no manpower, oh, we're so stretched, oh, we've got no resources. Now, for the police, what I was going to say, for the police to actually go out and investigate this splashing incident is fabulous. I agreed with you.
Blimey.
Yeah.
Can I have that in writing? Can you send me an email?
I'll send you a text now.
All right, thank you very much. Peter Rockwell really doesn't like my opinion of people being held responsible for stuff.
I think you're right, Peter. I think you're right. I can see where the old chap is coming from.
Old chap, listen to it. We're going to have to cram through some stories now because, believe it or not, we've eaten into nearly the whole programme already. An elderly couple who had what was described as a telepathic connection were married for 67 years, and believe it or not, in totally different geographical places. They died within 90 minutes of each other. That's Arthur and Dorothy Harding from...
May I say, before you move on from this story, because I can tell from your voice that you're about to just move on, let's have this done sensibly. One of this couple was put in hospital and was taken into care. The other member of the marriage was left at home. And it was a broken heart that killed them.
I agree.
Maybe the authorities could have done a little bit more.
They possibly could, Leigh. They could.
See, again, can you send a text message to me now?
No, maybe. A mum's got very upset because a photograph of her daughter has been removed from Instagram.
Yeah. What do you think? You see, okay, to have photographs of your 2-year-old child in a public arena is that dangerous or not? Was that parent being irresponsible to do it?
No.
Because we all used to have, now this sounds terrible, doesn't it? But we all used to take naked pictures of our children, didn't we, in the past?
Yes, everybody did. Nobody worried.
Yeah, but should she have put it on a public arena?
That's again back to the change of society over decades.
Fellas, Steve and Pat, what do you think?
Yeah, there you go. We do pass on our sincere condolences, and we do wish everybody else in California a lot of luck getting their act together again, because it's going to be a terrible job.
Why was there a news blackout on this for so long? This has been going on for a long, long time, and it's only began to be reported again yesterday. I don't
know. I do know that having watched one of the news feeds coming in, not on the TV channel as it were. Satellite is still such a good thing. That the emergency services were not letting the press anywhere near a lot of these places. And the reason for that was not that they were trying to put a block on it, they just didn't want more people to look after.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, it was a safety issue more than it was actually a health and safety issue, dear boy.
Well, it was, but on these sort of things, there are usually safe areas where the press, this facile idiocy about the press being at the heart of every disaster. Yeah, we are. We get there if we can, but generally what you do is you end up in a safe area where you can witness what's going on.
True.
And that's really what they should have done with this. But,
Absolutely. S Club 7's Paul Catamol has listed his 2000 Best Newscomer Brit Award on eBay, and it's getting an awful lot of coverage. It could go, believe it or not, for as much as £1 million.
What is it? He won a Best Newcomer Brit Award?
Well, I think the trouble is that some of these collectors of such artefacts are so bonkers with a checkbook that they will pay that kind of money. I find this incredibly funny. A conference dedicated to Bitcoin. You know, that's this funny currency.
The other currency that doesn't exist in the world.
Yeah, they're colloquially known as cryptocurrencies. There are several of them.
And there's also called the currency that the world trips. Anybody find out where that actually exists? And we only have little bits of paper, and we're all so proud of them.
That's right. Anyway, they were holding a huge conference, and they stopped accepting cryptocurrency as payment for tickets because of difficulties in processing the payments. That's because nobody wants it, you numpty. You absolute numpty.
What people do want it, people just don't trust it. And
I
quite
don't
right.
blame them. Yeah, the only person that trusts it is Kim Jong-un. This is a bit of a boob. A company which supplied lingerie to the Queen has lost its royal warrant over a book which revealed, dun dun dun, details of royal bra fittings.
Bit gratuitous when you consider the Queen's in her 90s, isn't it, to start talking about a bra. I suppose this woman was employed, that was her job, that was her industry. She had every right to talk about it.
I guess.
It was just a bit indelicate.
I think it was very indelicate, actually. We mentioned this earlier on. At least 2/3 of those who try one cigarette become daily smokers.
How should you say that, though? I had one cigarette. When I started smoking, I had one cigarette, then I had another. It's perfectly true. That's what happens. That's how you end up being a smoker, because you have one after the first one you ever had. What a load of rubbish.
Load of rubbish, says Leigh. Australia's got back its real crunchy bar for all the Aussies listening. I know there's lots of you out there. Called the Violet Crumble. It's been sold by Nestle, or Nestles, depending on where you come from, to an Australian-owned firm. And I had to get this story in. I really had to. Both Leigh and I, because this week we both put the running order together jointly. We both got this story. A butcher who became trapped in a walk-in freezer escapes thanks to a frozen black pudding.
And how did you see the size of his black pudding?
Now, who's doing innuendos?
I didn't jot it in anybody's innuendo.
You did?
He had a 4-foot-long black pudding that was frozen, and he fastened the door of his fridge down with it. And he's 70-odd. Good on you, Chris. I bet he was a bit packed. It was either bash it or suck it, wasn't it?
But I think, actually, the pudding was made by the Queen's butcher.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, that was a good connection for us, wasn't it?
There. I didn't even see that.
Yeah. And here's the last idiot thing of the week. An MP has called for a ban on high caffeine energy. The MP has called on following some problems that people are having, which they blame on high caffeine drinks. No, you sort the problems out before they start taking the damn things, and you'll get somewhere. Hello to Charlie and Alan. I forgot to say hello. I'm afraid it's time to say bye-bye, people.
Is it? Oh, heck, look at that.
It's gone already, isn't it? So what are you up to this weekend, then?
I am in this high, intense media frenzy at the moment.
I know,
revealing to the world some shocking stories about malfeasance, about all sorts of things that people shouldn't get up to. The Consumer Watch Foundation is shining a light in the beds of the powerful.
Wow. That's saying something, isn't it?
Yeah, and I just said it.
Well, you just did. It's time for City.
All right, everybody. Thank you very much. I'm trying to remember how to do something. Bye-bye, everybody. Bye-bye.
That was Leigh Banks in the UK. I'm Eric Wiltsher in Poprad, Slovakia, at the base of the glorious Tatras Mountains on Radio Tatras International, your station of the stars. Steve Bishop's up next. I have no idea what I'm going to be doing at the weekend, because I have none. I shall wave to everybody else on the webcams. Steve finishes off by saying, so glad you didn't mention the cricket. Oh, done it now. Did we come second? We didn't lose to Australia. We can't. We can't lose to Australia, Steve. That's the important thing. We can come second, but we cannot lose. And that's a fact of life. So don't you worry. We didn't lose. We win and they lose. But when they win, we only come second. So don't worry about it. It's fine. As I said, this is Radio Tatras International.
The station of the stars. RTI.